Good Tuesday morning, America. How's everybody doing today? Welcome back to the live stream. It is 5:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time here in Atlanta. We've got some stuff to cover today, guys. We've got quite a few things. You read the title right. Venezuela on alert. Operation Southern Spear and the coming Caribbean showdown. Welcome in, guys. How's everybody doing this morning? Good morning, good morning. Let's just go ahead and make sure the audio and everything is working now here. How's everybody doing? Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. How's everybody? How's everybody? Just getting the. I just started like 3 minutes ago, so we're gonna have more people come in, and we're gonna be able to talk about what's happening in the news with Latin America today, with the whole thing with Venezuela and Trump and Venezuela and Trump. It's gonna be a real good show today. I've got all the notes written down. Now, hopefully, also the video's not gonna be choppy today, right? I think it's quality seems to be pretty good. I'm checking all the channels here. It looks to me like we are good here. Let's see. Good Tuesday morning, America. Good morning, USA. Look, I got a coffee right here started. Anybody got some coffee going? I need another fresh pot. It's only been 1 cup. Everybody heading to work or what? Let's check the. Let's check to see if my YouTube is up and running good. It looks like it could. It looks like it is. All right. Perfect. Perfect. Let me see. Let's go ahead and throw on the old AirPod right here and make sure all the systems are working. Because what's the point of doing a show and then 30 minutes into it, realize maybe the audio's not working or something, right? And then, that ain't going to be good for nobody. Especially not for me. I'm not going to be a happy camper if that ends up being the case, right? So, we're just gonna let more people come into the stream. The stream just started. 5 minutes, 4 minutes into it. Good Tuesday morning, everybody. How's everybody doing today? We've got some news coming out of the Donald Trump administration and the whole Caribbean situation going on. Pete Hegseth. We got Cash Patel out there. They could come again. Um, and the whole situation happening right now with Venezuela and Maduro, Miami, Puerto Rico, the drugs, the narco traffickers, you know, and um, and so we've got all that going on right now with that situation going on in the Caribbean. I'm just letting everybody come into the stream. I just started about 2 minutes ago, so welcome in everybody. This is La Voz de Atlanta. How's everybody doing this morning? This is just the introduction right here. While we let the stream start. Let's see here what's going on with this situation. Looks like the video's being delayed. There's a delay on the video. Is there? I don't think there is. Maybe there is, and that seems to be going up all well on my end. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, testing 1, 2, 3. Yeah, it's fine on my end. It might be something else going on with the YouTubes then. Yeah. right, we got 10 viewers in. Yeah, YouTube's working just fine. Let me see. Yeah, YouTube's working fine. Yeah. Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. 1 2 3. 1 2 3. Yeah, it's working. I've got it up here on my other end. All right, guys. Let's see what we're gonna be talking about. What's going on right now with the situation in Venezuela? You know, with the whole situation with the narco traffickers, Pete Hegseth, Donald Trump, Venezuela. Because it's intensifying, right? Maduro doesn't know what to do. He can't even sleep right now. He's been 3 days awake on that cocaine, just, Chico, where they coming from, man? I swear I saw one, man. Hey, I saw a gringo over there, man. I think his name was Donald. I check if his name is Donaldo or Donald. And then bring him to me, and then we're gonna take care of that motherfucker, man. Because we're not gonna have any Donalds over here, man, okay? We don't even want any Donaldos. Pero Maduro, that's your primo, Donaldo. Fuck that. I don't care if his name is Donaldo or my cousin. I don't want any Donaldos in my platoon, motherfucker. You get rid of that motherfucker. Primo. Right? Maduro doesn't even want anybody named Donaldo. It is platoon, guys. That's how paranoid Maduro has become. Donaldo, what you mean, Donaldo, man? Get rid of him. Well, he was your hermano. I don't give a damn who if he's my brother, man. Donaldo, get the fuck out of here. You're going back to Cuba. You're gonna go to a concentration camp in Cuba. Good Tuesday morning, everybody. How's everybody doing? Welcome into the live show, live stream. Let's make sure everything is working. As of right now, everything is working fantastic. We don't have any lag, and if we do, I'm sorry. But if we don't, good. As long as I just maintain all the other apps closed and just keep up StreamYard and YouTube and X up, then we should be fine. But yeah, I'm checking X and YouTube, and everything seems to be well. All right, so now that we've got about 10 people in, let's wait until we get about 15 people in here, and then I'll start talking about what's going on with the situation with Venezuela. Hegseth, Trump, Maduro, Chavez, Fidel, Raul, Jorge, George, Big George, Bombas, Banchumbam, Bim Bim Bim. And so, it's a serious matter, guys. It's some serious topics over here, right? No playing around, right? We gotta get to the talking about this situation, all right? So how's everybody doing? Good Tuesday afternoon, good Tuesday morning. It's 5:52 a.m. Coming live from Atlanta. Yeah, that's a good one right there. Live from Atlanta. This is your host, Eduardo. Live from Atlanta. You know how they used to say Larry King back in the day? Live from New York. Well, this one is live from Atlanta. I like that one. Live from Atlanta. We're bringing you the news, the breakdowns, what's happening in the world, what's happening in Latin America. Right now we're focused on, we're not going to talk about Honduras and all that stuff because that was last week with the whole, Juan Orlando Hernández being released, that has its own little, situation going on. But right now we got Operation Southern Spear. We got, all this other stuff happening in the Caribbean, guys. We've got, Trump out there getting ready to, just, bombs over Baghdad, bombs over Baghdad. But this one's going to be bombs over Caracas, bombs over Caracas. If you know, you know, right? If you know, you know. All right, so. Good Tuesday morning, everybody. We are about 10 minutes into the stream right now. Maybe. Is it? Could be, yep. We're 10 minutes into the stream. Guys, let's go ahead and start. Good morning, this is Eduardo with La Voz de Atlanta. Welcome back to La Voz de Atlanta, live from Atlanta. We're going to be talking about what's happening right now with Operation Southern Spear and the coming Caribbean Showdown. That's right, guys. You don't want to miss this show, and if you do, or you're just hopping in, good. But if you miss it and you jump halfway into it, 30 minutes, an hour into it, you can always go back and view the recording, right? But let's go ahead and start up so we don't keep this, 9 viewers waiting, right? Since we're already 10 minutes into the show, right? We'll start it in exactly 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Live from Atlanta, Eduardo, your host. All right, guys. So what's new and immediate right now today, December 9th, 2025? I'll tell you what it is. Let's go ahead and talk about it right now. Let's see. Top U.S. national security officials to brief Congress today, right? So, guys, it's 6 a.m. Eastern Time. It's going to happen later on sometime this morning. Probably around like 9 or 10 a.m. Usually that's when the White House does their briefings. We'll be back during that time so we can view it live together as they talk about the unfolding situation in the Caribbean. Because they're going to talk about it. Trump's going to talk about it. Well, I'm not sure if it's going to be actually Pete Hegseth or Trump talking about it, but they're going to brief it today, guys. They're going to brief the United States today on the situation. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about it. According to Reuters, senior officials from the Trump administration, Pete Hegseth, Department of the Defense Secretary, Dan Kane, chairman of the Joint Chiefs, who's the one commanding the U.S. SOUTHCOM post. We talked about it yesterday. They're the ones that are like, the company in charge of taking out Maduro. So the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, Dan Kane, and Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, are scheduled to brief the Gang of Eight, bipartisan congressional leaders this afternoon amid rising tensions with Venezuela. The urgency of this briefing appears linked to the ongoing military campaign targeting alleged drug trafficking vessels and growing internal/external scrutiny of its legality and broader implications. Guys, so basically, yeah, they're going to want to find out, what's going on with the whole situation. They're gonna they're gonna talk to Pete, they're gonna talk to Dan, they're gonna talk to Marco, Congress. They're gonna be like, hey man, are you sure that they're narco-terrorists hauling cocaine and everything, man? Because if they're not, man, we're gonna have a problem, man. If they're just going out there, fishing, man, just fishy, like nothing is happening, man. Nah, I'm just here fishing for tuna, man. For the famous bluefin tuna. Not the bluefin, the bluefin tuna. And I ain't doing nothing, man. I'm just here fishy. Miguel, hurry up. Fucking hide that shit, man. We got the U.S. Coast Guard on our asses, man. Hey, we're just fishy, man. I promise you, man. We're not doing nada, man. U.S. National Coast Guard, man. You go away, man. You go away. You leave us alone, man. And so I want to get Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez on you. All right, guys. So a new boost in U.S. narcotics operations, seizure plus continuing strikes. Now, recently, a major drug interdiction mission under Operation Pacific Viper. Bet you guys didn't know about that one. Operation Pacific Viper reported that the U.S. Coast Guard cutter Monroe seized more than 20,000 pounds of cocaine from a go-fast vessel in the Eastern Pacific, marking the largest single cocaine haul by a national security cutter, which underscores, beyond the high-profile boat strike campaign that the U.S. is going around, it's not just some small narco-terrorist boats, it's a whole network of them, guys, The designation of the Cartel de los Soles as a terrorist group raises the bar for U.S. military action. Cartel de los Soles is Nicolas Maduro's personal drug trafficking cartel. That's right. Before Maduro, it didn't exist. So Maduro owns a drug trafficking cartel, and they are called Cartel de los Soles, Cartel of the Suns, right? And they've been classified as a terrorist group by the U.S. By the USA because that's how you're able to then, you know, do what you have to do to get rid of that trash that's happening right there in the Caribbean with Maduro and his whole gang of narco terroristic uh, activities, criminal activities, narco terroristic criminal activities happening in the Caribbean, right? And guys, you free Venezuela, you're gonna free up Cuba. I repeat, you free Venezuela, you free up Cuba. You get a 2-for-1. I was talking about that yesterday in my live stream. You guys can check that out. You free up Venezuela, you free up Cuba by proxy, via proxy. Why? Because is only surviving because of Venezuela. That's why Cuba hasn't needed the U.S. for nothing, because they've been getting everything from Venezuela. And who does Venezuela get their stuff from? They get it from Russia, China, and Iran. You know, and so that's why the sanctions don't work. They're like holding each other up like a freaking chain of ants. And so just floating out there in the waters like a bunch of ants. Just we're drifting away, man. We're drifting away, right? So that's how that's going. So Cuba doesn't need the U.S. for nothing because they're getting everything from Venezuela. That's why they're providing security to Maduro. That's why Cuba cannot afford to let anything happen to Maduro. But now, as the U.S. continues to step in more and more, now the Cuban officials are like, "Fuck, dude, we're running out of options." Like they have every right to get Maduro. He's been doing criminal narco trafficking activities in the Caribbean. So Cuba's like, fuck, dude, okay, we're just gonna have to probably step back then and let Maduro just be on his own, and then Cuba's gonna fall, right? I mean, Trump already said it. He said once Venezuela's done, once we get Maduro out, we're coming after Cuba next. Immediately, you get a 2-for-1. You get Venezuela, you get Cuba too. You free up both countries. Boom. Now we can have Cuba back in good terms with the USA like it once was, and Venezuela will be a new. It'll be like a South Korea, like what happened with South Korea and Japan, like after the whole thing. And now look at Japan and South Korea. Now they're flourishing. Germany, right? Flourishing. Venezuela is gonna be the same thing. The U.S. military is going to stay there for like a couple of years in Venezuela, just to make sure that everything goes back to a stabilized country, the way Donald Trump wants it, the way it should be. So after Maduro gets, popped in the head, and the rest of his military is then imprisoned and/or popped in the head, the Venezuelan people will be free. The U.S. military will be in Venezuela for like a few years, just to make sure it comes back to us, to stabilize the country. Um, and during that time, it'll be most likely Maria Corina Machado who will be, hopefully running the country. Venezuela needs a woman president, guys. After two men, look, I'm not even a sexist or anything like that, and I actually do believe like men make great leaders, but right now Venezuela doesn't need a leader. Venezuela needs a mom, a caring, nurturing mom, after it had been put through hell with Chavez and Maduro. It needs a woman. It needs that female touch. Venezuela doesn't need another guy to go in there right now. What it needs is a female woman that's gonna give it that woman touch, to ease down the 25 years of chaos caused by Chavez and the Maduro regime. So that's what Venezuela needs. They don't need another guy. They need a woman. So Maria Corina Machado is the one that needs to be rightfully placed as president of Venezuela from 2025 to 2031. You know, otherwise you're just gonna have the same crap happen all over again. Because so put a woman as president in Venezuela, and let her run for like the next 3, 4, 5 years, right? From 2025 to 2031. Essentially, that's the way that it has to be, right? So you do that, you know, Sorry about that. You do. I don't know if you guys heard it. I've got a pretty good microphone. It's it's one of these like $250 condenser mics that plug into your PC tower, and or your laptop or whatever MacBook, and they pick up the noise pretty good. So you guys got that CNN voice now. La Voz de Atlanta. Welcome back to La Voz de Atlanta. Welcome back to La Voz de Atlanta. Ching, 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 ching. Look, guys, so you free up Venezuela, you free up Cuba, and then we get rid of China, Russia, and Iran in our backyard. Then they'll have to go back to square one out there in the Middle East, out there in the East. Russia, Asia, East, Pacific, Eastern Asia, Pacific. All right, so the U.S. military buildup in the Caribbean, likely dual aims, the narco-trafficking crackdown. It serves as two, guys. The U.S. military buildup in the Caribbean serves as two. It aims narco-trafficking and it puts pressure on the Maduro regime. It does two things in one. So no, it's not about the fucking oil. It's about the oil, man. They want Donald Trump wants the aceite, bro. He's such a greedy son of a bitch that he wants the oil out of Venezuela, bro. It's not enough that they have Alaska. It's not enough that you guys have Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas, where you guys are getting all the aceite, but you guys want ours too, you son of a bitch. Right? Those are all like the people who are against taking out Maduro, but those are the ones that are thinking it's because of the oil, and it's not because of the oil, right? It's never been about the oil, guys. I mean, maybe it was about the oil like a long time ago. It's not about the oil now in 2025, jumping into 2026. It's not. It's not about the oil at all. Again, maybe a long time ago it was about the oil. That's why Trump did, whenever he was talking with Maduro the other day, Maduro was like, please, man, we'll give you all the aceite, all the oil you want, man. Please just don't send over the National Guard or the Marines, man, because I hear they eat crayons, bro. What you mean your Marines eat crayolas, bro? What is wrong with those people, man? Don't do this, Trumpas, please. We'll get rid of El Helicoide. We'll do anything you want, Trumpas, please. You know what? Fuck these soldados, man. I don't even like them anyways. Just take me out of here, bro. Just take me out of here, man, please. Anything you say, Donald, please. Just take me out of here, man. I have a wife, children. Just take me out of here, please. I'll give you whole Venezuela, man. You take the oil, you take the soldados, you interrogate them, you torture them. I don't care, man. Just take me out, please, man. Please. Please, Donald. Please. Hey, I can't see, man. Hey, I can't see, man. Ambulancia. 911. 911. 911. 911. Right. And so that's Nicolas Maduro right now. Right. Just begging Donald, like, please, Donald, don't do nothing, man. I sorry, man, Hey, man, it was just a joke, man. Hey, it was just a chistecito, bro. It was just a joke, man. Hey, you know about the jokes, man, right? Comedy, stand-up. Yee! Everybody's laughing. Ha, ha, ha. It was just a joke, man. Please, man, don't do nothing, man, okay? I free up the people, man. I give you everything you want, man. Okay, man, don't do nothing, man. Don't do nothing. I swear, man, don't do nothing. Don't do anything, man. Don't do anything. All right, and so that's what's happening right now with the Maduro situation. Let's continue here. And I have it all. Now, this is from the news. This is all documentations from the news, from all sources right here. Let's go ahead and jump into the good stuff right here. All right, so, let's go ahead and break this down. Let's set the stakes right now, guys. So, here's what's here's the talking points, right? A little summary, right? You ready? All right, let's go ahead and talk about it, all right? U.S. is redefining narco-trafficking as narco-terrorism. Coming from the Times Elcano Institute. Source. And they have to, otherwise the U.S. has to do it like this, guys. Otherwise, they're going to continue to get, they're going to continue to, put one over us, put one over on us. You know, guys, the Caribbean Maduro, the regime, they're putting one over on the U.S. You guys you guys like to get bitch slapped by the Maduro regime as U.S. Americans. Do you guys want to get slapped around like bitches by the U.S. by the Venezuelan Maduro regime? Are you guys masochists? You guys like you guys like getting slapped around like little putos, man. Hey, we're sending drugs to the U.S. and you can't do nothing about it, man. We're just going around the whole Caribbean delivering drogas, cocaine, meth, and heroin. And the U.S. can't do nothing about it, man. You guys are pussies, man. You guys can't do nothing about it, man. You guys won't do nothing about it, man. We're running free in the Caribbean, man. Doing whatever we want, okay? And you idiots think it's about the aceite. It's not, man, okay? Keep getting slapped around like putos, man. So you guys like getting slapped around by the Maduro regime, the Venezuelan dictator, right? And so that's why, you know, you got Tom Cotton out there in Arkansas saying, we got goddamn 400 Arkansas blowing them, sucking on glass dick because of Maduro. Well, no, it's not because of Maduro. They don't do the meth. That's China and Mexico. This is cocaine. This is coming into Miami more than anything for the clubs, you know. Chico, we're going to hit up Club Salsa, man. The Maduro's package come in here because, you know what, man? I'm running low, man. And I got to get that good Primo, bro, okay? 120 for some Primo. Ooh, 1 gram. You know what? Give me $500 worth, man. Give me the whole 8 ball. Ooh, it's going to be a party, man. Where's the nenas? That's mujeres, bro, okay? Big chest and big boobs, man, everything. I want the big ass. Give me all. I want it all, man. I want it all. Okay? Ooh, Maduro, where's the package, man? What you mean you got interdicted by Pete Hegseth, man? I don't give a fuck if you got interdicted by fucking Donald Trump or fucking Pete Hegseth, man. You bring me my coca, bro, right fucking now. Or is your head on the fucking line, puto, alright, cabrón? Is your head on the fucking line, Maduro? You bring me my fucking coca, bro. Alright? And don't make me tell you twice, man. Or I get Gustavo Petro from Colombia on you, man. You don't think he's under my under my book account? Cabrón, he's getting paid 10,000 a month to keep an eye on your ass, man. And you didn't even know that. U.S. is redefining narco-trafficking as narco-terrorism. U.S. Caribbean strike campaign continues with legal controversy. That's coming from The Guardian, Reuters. Today, December 9th, top U.S. officials brief Congress privately about Venezuela escalation. So right now this morning, as of 6:11 Eastern Time, Tuesday, December 9th, 2025, you heard it here first from Voz de Atlanta. Top U.S. officials briefed Congress privately about Venezuela escalation. You know what that means? They're getting ready to take out Maduro, guys. They're getting ready to take out Maduro. Maduro, your days are outnumbered, honey. I'm on the phone with goddamn Donnie right now. Hey, Donnie, I got Maduro. I got my sights on Duro. What you want me to do with that fool? You say a word now, just keep an eye on him, pluck him in the ear like they did to you. All right, I got him. No, stay still. All right, I got my sights on him, Donnie. What you want me to do with Duro, man? Look, I got I got 5 of his men, about 3 are Cuban. I can tell because they ain't got no teeth, and then the other 2 seems to be Venezuelan, and then we got Maduro. So what you want me to do with goddamn Duro? Just keep my eyes right there. All right. I got you, Donnie. Just tell me when I'll pull this goddamn tree and get rid of that damn son bitch. Goddamn it. I swear the last time that motherfucker gonna see a goddamn main panada. Right, so that's what's happening right there. As of today, the U.S. officials are briefing Congress privately about the escalations in Venezuela. Venezuela is responding diplomatically, but preparing for military political fallout. You know, just going out there scrambling each other's asses. You know, hey man, what you mean the U.S. is coming in here, man? Nobody told me this was happening, man. Marco Carlos Rodrigo, man, come here, guys, come here, man. You guys gotta tell me the good news, man. You guys found me the new house in Ecuador. No veces I can go. For how much? He's asking for too much, man. I asked for Donald for 200 million. He said, forget about it. I don't have that much money, bro. I'm fucked up right now. Ah, cabrón. God damn it. It was a good run, boys. It was a good run, my man. 10 years, 20 years. This is for Chavez, bro. Damn it, man. We lost. We lost. Well, let's get into it, guys. Let me see. Where's my better notes? Right, the modules. Now, if you just tune, let me go ahead and check because we're about 20 minutes into the show. Let me just make sure how many minutes we're. Let me see here. We're 30 minutes into the show. Welcome back to La Voz de Atlanta. Also, if you're watching this on YouTube, I'm cutting this right now. YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, actually, I'm not gonna cut it on live. This is just going on the actual long format. It's gonna be about 32 minutes. But if you're watching on YouTube, like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, hasta mañana. And we keep rolling the cameras for YouTube and X. All right, let's continue. So that's what's happening right now with the situation in Venezuela. Let's go on to the actual modules now, and go over each one. And this is something I prepared, right? Along with the help of ChatGPT. This thing is so smart, man. Now it doesn't give you answers. This thing is just a tool. It's like a calculator. You can't tell a calculator, give me the answer for 2 plus 2. Or, I mean, you can, but you gotta know how to put the answer or the question in it, right? And then, you gotta use your own thinking and shit too. But this is all data. This is all pulled up sources from everything we just talked about, guys. From the news of today, December 9th, 2025. What's right here, all these. Trump's national security officials to brief Gang of Eight. Trump backs away from pledge to release boat strike video. Hexa give defiant speech defending drug boats. So there's a whole thing going on right now. We're going to break it down. If you're just tuning in, welcome back to La Voz de Atlanta. This is your host, Eduardo. Let's continue. All right. Module 1. Why this matters. Why does this matter, right? Operation Southern Spear. Well, because it's very important. And by the end of this lesson, you'll understand the legal, the military, the political architecture behind the current crisis involving the United States, Venezuela, and narco-terrorism alongside the Caribbean, right? So these are going to be our learning objectives for today's stream, for this morning's live stream. Because I'll come back later on today once they come back and start doing the White House press briefing live on, X and all that. I'll come back and do a little, we'll join alongside together and we'll watch together. But our learning objectives this morning, 6:17 a.m. If you're just tuning in, welcome back to La Voz de Atlanta. Like, comment, and subscribe. Let's continue. Understanding what Operation Southern Spear is and why it even began. We're going to examine the U.S. legal doctrine of the narco-terrorisms. We're going to analyze the Caribbean military posture and strategic intent. We're going to study the controversy of the September strike. We're going to explore the role of the Cartel de los Soles, which is Maduro's personal drug trafficking cartel. We're going to discuss regional political reactions, evaluate the future scenarios using intelligence modeling, and connect this to diaspora politics and migration flows. Not sure about the last one because it's gonna be probably like here. Let's just get into it, and from here we'll see how the show goes. So if you're just tuning in, welcome back to La Voz de Atlanta. This is your host Eduardo, and we're gonna go over an educational module about the whole thing with Operation Southern Spear and Venezuela and the Caribbean, and they're actually gonna come out later on in a little bit. To brief Congress. Right now it was done privately behind closed doors this morning, but they're going to come out later on this morning, the White House press and everything, and they're going to come, Pete Hegseth and their secretaries, they're going to come out and, give a little briefing of what's happening, right, with the whole situation in Venezuela and the Caribbean, right? So again, if you're just tuning in, welcome back to La Voz de Atlanta. This is Ed Wardo, your host, and we're talking about, the whole situation. So, what is Operation Southern Spear? Operation Southern Spear is a U.S. military campaign launched in 2025 under the Trump administration, targeting alleged drug trafficking vessels in the Caribbean and Atlantic corridors. Uh, it is publicly explained as narcotics, as a counter narcotics unit meant to destroy the enemy, narco terrorists. And strategically it functions as a pressure campaign on the Venezuelan regime. So you take out the narco terrorist boats, you're putting pressure on Maduro. That's Maduro's income. That's how he keeps Venezuela afloat, by selling drugs. I'll leave you 5 seconds to think about that, guys. Venezuela's economy is staying afloat because Maduro is selling drugs. Well, you guys think it's about the oil, right? The aceite, it's about the oil, man. They want the oil. They want that heavy crude oil, bro. They gotta dig it out from the ground. It's gonna take so long. Mm, Forget about the Saudi oil, man. That one is the best one. That one is so refined and it's nice and light. But we don't care about that one, man. We want the Venezuelan oil, man. The heavy shit, man. Because we got a couple of old ass dusty machines in Texas that can handle that shit, man. Okay. And nobody's really looking forward to getting that Venezuelan oil. It's crude, it's heavy, it's dark, it has to go through a refining process, and there's only about 10 of those machines out here in the USA that can handle that shit. It's gonna cost probably. I mean, the return on investment for that long term, yeah, it'll get us out of that $1 trillion debt that the U.S. has over time. So that could actually Venezuela could help the U.S. economy by about 20-30 years. Yeah. So we free up Venezuela, then we free up Cuba by proxy, then we don't have any more Russia, China, Iran interference in the South Hemisphere, and the Venezuela people get freed, and then they're happy, and then also the oil will help offset the U.S. debt. Venezuela's oil, you heard it here first. Venezuela's oil will help offset the U.S. debt. That's how we're gonna get paid back here in America for what Venezuela did, right? Anyways, all right. Let's see. Key components of this whole operation include naval destroyers and Coast Guard cutters, surveillance aircraft and drones, marine rapid reaction teams, intelligence fusion cells, joint task force coordination through SOUTHCOM, the U.S. Southern Command Post. They're the ones in charge of taking this operation to a full accomplishment, right? Um, and their purpose is to interdict the maritime drug routes. Now, why are they interdicting the maritime drug routes? Because that's how they funnel the economy of that's a lot. Not only Venezuela, guys. A lot of other countries are using these drug routes to supply their pockets. Could be Panama, could be Peru. Not necessarily like the president, but like the cartel themselves within those countries. Um, so they have these little groups of cartels that sell drugs to other countries, and then they use Maduro's as drug routes as because those channels kind of like belong to Venezuela, but they really because it's within Venezuela's path, and so Maduro's like, all right, we'll let you go through here, man. Hey, Chico, hey, Panama, come here, man. I got a proposal, bro. Listen, man. We have this little drug route right here by Caracas, right? It's a secret one nobody knows about. We're gonna let you go through that one, but you gotta pay me like 10,000 pesos a month for you to use it, man. Nobody's gonna get you. It is 100% surveillance by me and the Cubanos, the G2. Okay? Nobody's gonna know that you guys are gonna go through there, man. Not even the gringos, not even the Yankees. Donald Trump, he's not gonna know. He doesn't know about this drug route, bro. It's undiscovered. It almost goes right there by the Bermuda Triangle, right? But right before you get to the actual opening. And so to go through here, to pay me my 10,000 a month, man, Panama, okay, Panama, and you're good, man, and you're good. You're gonna have the drug route for you, 24/7, man. I'll even include a little lifesaver in there, so just in case you get lost, man. So then Maduro's, leasing drug routes over to other country narco-terrorist organizations. That's not good for us. We have literally like a criminal enterprise operating in the Caribbean, right here next to the USA. Like, how retarded can this dictator be? And then the other retard presidents and cartel groups that are joining along, as if the USA wasn't gonna get a whiff of it, you know. Hey man, I smell coca when I know it, man. I know that smell. I know it back from Miami, 1980s, man. When I was in the DEA. Where's that, man? Where's the gasolina? Show me the gasolina. All right, anyways. So they're interdicting maritime drug routes in order for them to get all busted up. You destroy the routes, you destroy their economy. Um, their black market economy based off of drugs. And then you increase the leverage against Maduro because then he has no other choice but to surrender or, flee. Or it's gonna get to a point. This guy's already like, man, I can't even trust my own military guys. I had to get rid of the Venezuelan soldiers because I couldn't trust my own people. And now Fidel over here sends me his soldiers because he tells me, you know what? As long as I send him the gold and the aceite and the oil, he's gonna provide me with security. And you know what, man? Sabine, he's acting like motherfuckers. DGC, I don't even trust those motherfuckers. FAMB, fuck those guys. They're fucking clutch, fucking lazy. I don't want this motherfucker. I just want to be free, man. Please, somebody call Donald, man. Hey, Donald, this is Maduro, bro. I can't trust my own man. I can't trust nobody. I can't even trust my own hand when I jerk off in the shower, man. My own hand is betraying me. Jerking off doesn't feel the same no more, Donald. Please, let me go, man. I'll give you Venezuela, bro. I'll give you the soldados, interrogate them, do everything what you want, man, please. Let me go, Donald Trump. Let me go. Right, so that's Maduro right there begging Donald. Right, old Donnie comes to the rescue now. Now that because Donnie's putting on some pressure on the Maduro regime, he's acting, oh, please, man. Hey, I didn't mean to do nothing, man. I swear, bro, please, Donald. Hey, it was just a prank, man. Hey, that's the one they use, right? The Yankees in the United States when something goes wrong, right? Hey, it was just a prank, man. Donald Trump, it was just a prank, man, I swear. It's just a prank. Look, you're on YouTube, Donald. Donald Trump, you're on YouTube, Venezuela YouTube. It's just a prank, man. Nothing ever happened, man. It's just a prank. It's just a prank. Please, it's just a prank. So that's exactly what's happening right there with that situation, right, guys? If you're just tuning into the live stream, welcome back. Good Tuesday morning. How's everybody doing this morning? Good, good, good. All right, so what happens when humanitarian, political, and military goals overlap? You get ambiguity, and ambiguity is where policy shift happens. All right, Section B, the legal foundation of narco-terrorism doctrine, right? Why the term narco-terrorism matters. Well, let's talk about it. The Trump administration reclassified Venezuelan actors tied to the Cartel de las Soles as terrorists. This dramatically changes U.S. legal authority. All right? How? It gives them more right to then do more things to... That's why you see all these boats getting blown up. The narco boats that we're seeing on X and also all over social media getting blown up. And then you're seeing like the actual narco traffickers dumping the cocaine into the ocean, into the Caribbean waters. And that's not good for the sharks because then they eat it and then they're all having a party down there. Hey, Sharky, man, Sharky, Shark, what happened to that package, man? That wasn't no fishy food, man. And that was that coca, man. Oh no, we victim to another one, Charky. Law enforcement model, right? Here's the breakdown. Requires evidence, requires arrests, limited to maritime enforcement. The terrorism model. So the model that we were trying to do before, required evidence, required arrests, and it was only limited to maritime enforcement, right? With the terrorism model by the USA classifying the narco-terrorists of Venezuela as narco-terrorists and introducing that new language, now it can allow for physical strikes. Now we can target command structures like buildings and things like that, where the USA suspects they are holding their private meetings at. So you could see potentially Venezuelan buildings getting blown up if they are to be discovered that it is being used to conduct criminal activities. Uh, and also, it allows the bypassing of extradition or police processes, meaning Maduro wanted, dead or alive at this point, along with anybody who's going to interfere and obstruct justice, like the soldiers, like the G2 Cuban soldiers, or the DGCIM, or the FAMB, or the SEBIN, and they're all in the same shit, guys. Like, they need to fucking, like, I can't wait until they're fucking blown to smithereens. These motherfuckers go to your house, like, if you're talking bad about the regime, and they go and disappear you, like, PG-13, they take you to the woods, man, and they snap your neck off, bro, right off your shoulders. One clean, 3-06 to the head, boom, out in the back, just for saying Maduro, Maduro bad. All right, so if a drug trafficker then is labeled a criminal, you arrest them. But if they're labeled a terrorist, you can strike them like ISIS. So that's why now Maduro is scared shitless. And pop goes the weasel. If a drug trafficker is labeled a criminal, you gotta arrest them. But if they're labeled a terrorist, you can strike them like ISIS. You heard it here first from La Voz de Atlanta. The whole situation that's unfolding in the Caribbean and why we're blowing up narco-terrorist boats is because they're no longer arrestable, because they're no longer an offensible law enforcement code of conduct of ethics. It's now they're terrorists. So now there is no due process for them. You get it? There is no due process for narco-terrorists. So now the USA, Donald Trump, Pete Hegseth, Department of War have the right to blow Maduro up and anybody around his ass who's gonna interfere against against the whole operation, because they are no longer arrestable. They are now enemy of the state. You hear? They are now enemy of the state. You hear? And so, that's what's happening with Maduro. They're now an enemy of the state, right? They're no longer classified just arrestable offenses. They're now, shoot them on sight, pretty much. That's what's happening. And so, is this being used for accuracy or convenience? I think it's accuracy. What do you guys think? It's definitely accuracy. Now let's take a look at the September strike case study, right? The double tap strike. Now, here are the facts. The first strike killed 11 alleged traffickers. This was back in September. The second strike killed 2 survivors in the water. The ones that were like, "Oh, it's the innocent fishermen, guys. You guys killed Manuel and Fanuel, bro. They were just 2 brothers going out there fishing, bro, in the Caribbean, way out there with no business, no fishing ports. The motherfuckers had nothing on them, bro. Okay, we swear, man. Okay, we swear. They have fish, man. We swear." All right, so the second strike killed the 2 survivors in the water. Legal scholars raised war crime concerns. They were like, "Oh my God, how the fuck do you even know that it was even narcos, bro? Like, it could have been anybody, bro. It could have been anybody." Hegseth said, "We are sinking narco-terrorists," and that's final. So Pete Hegseth and the Donald Trump administration, from what I'm understanding, from all the studying that I've been doing lately, is they don't give a fuck. The thing is this. They don't give a fuck in regards to what anybody has to say. They know that they are narco-terrorists. They're not blowing up innocent civilians. They're not blowing up even just arrestable offenses in maritime. Like, they're not even just, okay, you have drugs in your boat, you're getting arrested. No, this is a network. This is a network. So now, because it has expanded worldwide, Russia, China, and Iran are involved in this because it has expanded internationally. They are a terrorist organization dealing in drugs. That's why they're calling them narco terrorists. Narco terrorists. You know, it's within the definitions of the. It's well within the definitions of the U.S. laws. And so, you know, let's go ahead and keep breaking this down here. Let's take a look. Let's take a look here. All right. U.S. National Security that's briefing today, right? Hexeth, Dean Kane, I mean, not Dean Kane, Dan Kane, the Joint Chiefs, and Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, briefing the Gang of Eight. Emergency classification signals. Something escalated over the last 48 hours. Purpose. Update on air, maritime strikes, legal challenges from Congress, options for land based targets in Venezuela. Now, this type of briefing only happens when the administration needs political cover for escalation or when intelligence indicates a rapid shift on the ground. And what is that? It means they're getting ready to get Maduro and the soldiers and all involved in this whole operation of narco trafficking, right? So because it's coming out now, right now, today, Tuesday, it's 6:35 a.m. If you just tuned in, welcome back to La Voz de Atlanta. This is your host Eduardo. We're talking about the narco terrorism that's happening right now in the Caribbean with Maduro, Trump, USA, and all that good stuff. So Hexeth, Dan Kane, the Joint Chiefs, and Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, right, briefing the Gang of Eight. They're going through emergency classification signals. They're getting updates on, air and ocean strikes. Right now we're seeing a lot of those boats being struck down by missiles, right, coming from those drones. And options for land-based targets. So, whether they're gonna set foot in Venezuela and start, physically going after, all these, networks of narcos, which includes private soldiers, lieutenants, henchmen, all that stuff, right? And ultimately, till you get Maduro, right? Um, Now, the September strike controversy, right? 11 killed in the initial in 11 were killed in the initial strike on alleged drug boats, right? 11 later admitted a second strike that killed two survivors, raising war crime allegations. That's why they're whole going into. That's why they're like going to briefings. Long story short, guys, the whole thing why Pete Hegseth, Dan Kane, and Marco Rubio got to go and talk to Congress behind closed doors today was because they just got to say, you know what, man, these are the facts. This is what we see, what we believe, and this is what we gotta take. This is what we gotta do now, right? This is what we gotta, these are the measures we gotta take today. Otherwise we're screwed, right? So let's see what we got. Let's see. So right now the United States. Here, let me see here. Let me take a look at something. Had another one up here. Where the hell's it at? Jump into eggs. I'm getting ready to wrap this up so I can go grab some breakfast, guys. I'm getting hungry. I've been going on this whole thing for like about an hour now. But just to wrap this up, look, here's what it's looking like, guys. Right. Um, if you just tuning in, welcome back to the live stream. This is La Voz de Atlanta, your host, Eduardo. Right, today's September 9th, December 9th, December 2025, December 9th, 2025. Something, just to wrap this up, guys, here's the full summary of everything I just talked about, all right? As I'm getting ready to wrap this up. And then I'll come back later on once the White House starts doing their own, their briefing on what they talked about privately today, right? So right now, the United States, Venezuela, and the Caribbean basin, right, and the entire Western Hemisphere are entering a new chapter, right? A chapter defined by narco-terrorism, military escalation, intelligence briefings, and geopolitical realignments that nobody in the mainstream media is explaining correctly, right? So, to wrap this up, let's go ahead and talk about it. Let me break it down real quick. Who, what, why, where, when, and how. Let's begin now. Today, at this very moment, senior officials from the Trump administration are preparing to brief the Gang of Eight in Congress, right? Hexeth, Rubio, Dan Kane, who is the chairman of Joint Chiefs of Staff of the Joint Chiefs of SOUTHCOM, Operation SOUTHCOM or U.S. SOUTHCOM Post, the guy that's in charge of, commanding the foot soldiers on what to do, right? Now, this type of emergency only happens when something has changed rapidly on the ground. Either new intelligence has come in or escalation is on the table, right, guys? So Reuters did confirm the meeting this morning, right? And whenever this group gets briefed, it means the administration wants political cover before taking the next step. So something big is happening. The next steps, we're about to see what they are. Let's talk about the strikes, because this is where the legal and moral battlefield begins. Because a lot of you are like, well, what do you mean, what briefing? What do you mean Congress? What do you mean Marco Rubio, Dan Kane, and Pete Hegseth got to talk to Congress about? Well, because back in September, right, the United States launched its first major airstrike on what it's called a drug smuggling vessel, right? A narco-terrorist boat that was, hauling 100-ton barrels of cocaine and shit. Right, where even 11 people were killed, and a follow-up strike that killed the two survivors that were floating in the water. And we all know about what happened after that. They were saying, "Oh, there were just two innocent fishermen who were fishing in the." No, they were narco-terrorist guys that were transporting drugs on the behest of the network of Venezuela's trap house networks. It could have come from who knows, God knows where. And the survivors were part of that whole gang, right? Pandilleras. And so those survivors were not innocent fishermen. They were part of the ones who were transporting the drugs, right? So a follow-up strike that killed those two, and then everybody was like all up in arms, right? Here in the U.S. Now, that triggered allegations of possible war crimes. So because they, sorry about that. That's why I go to, so I'm wrapping this up, guys. Gotta go get some breakfast. I've been yapping for a good while over here. I'm getting a little tired. So, but to wrap this up, right? Out of those 11 people, 2 were survivors. Out of those 11 narco terrorists, 2 were survivals, and then that's why, and then a second strike came in, finishing the job. So because the USA had to finish the job on killing the 2 surviving narco terrorists, it imploded this whole thing now where like Pete Hegseth and Dan Kane, the Joint Chiefs of the SOUTHCOM, and Marco Rubio now have to go and talk to Congress for what? For what? Blow them up. We blew up. Why? Because the first drone missile didn't do the job, and 2 fucking narco terrorist bastards were left alive. So we had to send a second air drone attack, and now they're calling it war crimes. So if the first one would have done the job, and it would have done like a bowling pin, it would have just knocked all bowling pins out the fucking way. Oh, then it would not be a war crime. But the fact that 2 survived, and then they sent a second strike to finish the job, now it's a war crime. Man, fuck that shit. They survived because they got lucky, so we had to finish the job with a second one. And that's how because you know what would have happened? Those 2 survivors would have went back to the fucking trap house of Venezuela, the network of narco-terrorist drugs and shit. They would have found safe haven, and they would have, carried out information over to them. Who knows? So they had to do what they had to do. You couldn't, leave no survivors, right? Leave no narco-terrorists to survive, right? And so because of that, it triggered allegations of possible war crimes. And who's saying it? The legal scholars, right? The legal law scholars, right? But Hegseth has responded clearly and says that he says we are sinking narco terrorists, and that's final. He's confident in what he says. We're sinking narco terrorists. We're not sinking anything else. Other than, this it's and it's final, right? And that phrase, narco terrorists, is the entire legal foundation of Operation Southern Spear. That phrase, narco terrorists, is the entire legal foundation of Operation Southern Spear. Because once you classify cartel linked actors as terrorists, your range of military options expands dramatically. You can strike without typical law enforcement constraints. You can treat these groups the same way you would ISIS or Al Qaeda. And that's what's happening right now with the whole situation here, right? And that's where this administration is heading, right? A long time ago, a few months back, nobody saw this coming, but now we see clearly what's happening. And rightfully so. This is the only way we can get Maduro legally without Trump having to face, legal action in a U.S. military court of law. And honestly, we have the evidence and the receipts. Basically, Trump, Pete Hegseth, they're confident in the receipts. I mean, we have the evidence. It's all over X. I've been seeing narco boats going around the Caribbean getting with narco terrorist people, guys, dumping cocaine in the ocean waters. Not only is it damaging to the people who are consuming those drugs, but it's also damaging the marine life, and that's very concerning. It's very concerning in all fronts, guys. All right, marine life, the sharks, the barracudas, bluefin tuna, right? I want bluefin tuna. I don't want blue fentanyl tuna. All right, guys. So once we classify the cartel linked actors as terrorists, now we can, a range of military options have expanded, right? Now we can strike them without a typical law enforcement constraints and, you got to get a warrant. No, none of that shit. Now we're going to treat you like ISIS and Al Qaeda, shoot on sight. That's it, shoot on sight. That's where the Donald Trump administration is headed. Now let's break down the military architecture, right? We're going to break down the military architecture before I start wrapping this show up. The U.S. Navy has deployed destroyers, cutters, surveillance drones, marine elements, and intelligence fusion cells across the Caribbean theater. This is not a symbolic deployment, right? This is a pressure campaign with two faces: counter narcotics on the surface, regime pressure underneath. CSIS analysts already pointed out that the scale and structure of this operation go far beyond simple interdiction. Right? You don't deploy this level of hardware just to stop speedboats. You don't invest all this money and all this manpower just to stop a couple of dudes running fast on a boat. Hey, Checo, there goes the speeding right there, man. Hey, deploy the National Guard, man, because we got a speeding boat, man. He's going too fast in the wake. He can't do that, man. He can't do that. Lock him up. Send over the National Guard, man. Lock him up. Right? That's not happening, guys, right? And so, you don't deploy this level of hardware just to stop those speedboats, guys. And remember, the legal justification is narco-terrorism. Remember, guys, the legal justification for Operation Southern Spear is narco-terrorism. Now, Maduro might be right about one thing when he said that the Yankees are trying to, use this whole thing as a pretext to get to, to you, motherfucker, because you're running criminal activities in Venezuela and set it up. You sold out Venezuela. You set up a trap house. You set up shop in Venezuela for all of the narco networks. You're leasing office space for narco activities. Maduro, are you stupid? Now let's talk about the Cartel de los Soles. Right, Cartel de los Soles, Cartel of the Suns, Maduro's private drug trafficking network cartel. The Trump administration officially designated elements of that organization as a foreign terrorist group. That group includes high-ranking Venezuelan officers tied directly into Maduro's power structure. Right, this means that Washington is no longer treating certain Venezuelan state actors as government officials. They're treating them as terrorists. No longer are they being looked at as diplomats and presidents and governors. They're being looked at as a criminal enterprise made up of criminal actors and actresses. And once you cross that line, airstrikes on the radar sites, ports, communication nodes, or intelligence hubs become easier to justify. This is the legal chessboard that Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth are playing. Now, here comes the contradiction, the hypocrisy narrative that Latin America is pointing out. Trump pardoned Juan Orlando Hernandez. We talked about this last week, the former president of Honduras. Hey, well, what you mean Trump and Hegseth are doing this to Maduro? But last week, that motherfucker sends over here Juan Orlando Hernandez from Honduras. He was sending 400,000 billion pounds of cocaine into California and the United States and everything, man. What happened, man? What happened with that one guy? Why is he not in prison with El Chapo, man? Juan Orlando Hernandez from Honduras needs to be locked up right now with El Chapo. Why Trump release him, man? I want the answers, man. I want the answers, huh? Bukele, somebody answer me, bro. Huh? Why? What happened, man? What happened? What happened? Now, Trump did pardon Juan Orlando Hernandez, the former president of Honduras, who was sentenced to 45 years for major drug trafficking crimes, a man deeply tied to narcotic routes, released only with the stroke of a pen. Donald J. Trump for the release and the full pardon of Juan Orlando Hernandez. Right now, Time Magazine, Political, right, and multiple Latin America outlets are calling this mixed messaging. You know, how do you strike narco-terrorists in the Caribbean while freeing one of the architects of regional cocaine flow? Doesn't make any sense, right? You know, in the hemisphere, appearance matters, and this is being noticed, right? Why did Trump do that, right? Why? You know, everybody's asking the famous question as to why. I think this plays into something much bigger. Also, I read the whole docket. It looks like the guy Juan Orlando Hernandez, long story short, was just being framed by like another party, and there was no actual evidence of the matter. That's why like he was not directly tied to anything. So he was like, oh, while Honduras might have been involved in this situation, the guy Juan Orlando Hernandez wasn't directly tied to anything. Therefore, he had to let him go. So it's like, you know, oops, we got the wrong guy. Long story short, oops, we got the wrong guy. All right. So let's shift to something that just happened a couple of days ago, right? A historic drug seizure. The U.S. Coast Guard cutter Monroe intercepted a go-fast vessel and seized more than 20,000 pounds of cocaine. That's right, your favorite party drug. Oh, Chico, everything seems so good, man. Let's go ahead and party. We're gonna have a smoky, a little sniffy. Where's the mujeres at, man? Huh? I want the big booby one, man, and the one with the fattest butt too, man. Okay, where's she at? Where's she at, man? All right, and so the U.S. Coast Guard cutter Monroe intercepted a go-fast vessel and seized more than 20,000 pounds of your favorite party drug. A helicopter sniper disabled the engines. This is the largest single seizure ever recorded by a national security cutter. Right now, this shows two sides of the U.S. tragedy. Southern Spear is covert, kinetic, controversial. Pacific Viper is traditional, transparent, interdiction. So Pacific Viper is more like, we're gonna go by the books, man. And then Southern Spear is more like, you fucked up now, Sunday. You goddamn Terry now. You a goddamn, you were just like ISIS and Al-Qaeda, just like them. You one of them goddamn Al-Qaedans, ain't you, boy? Go on and sit down for me while I talk to you. You say your name is Nicolas Maduro? I ain't never seen no Maduro around here with that face, honey. Only Maduro I've had are those little plantains at the Cuban shop. And who the hell are you? So, right, Pacific Viper is more like on the arrest warrant side. Southern Spear operations more on the, you're an ISIS, you've been categorized as a terrorist group now. So you have the right to, you know, say nothing, and you're getting blown to smithereens. Now, let's talk about the region. What does Latin America see? They see a hemisphere recalibrating. That's right. My people in Venezuela are like, finally, we're going to have peace in our country. Mexico and all that stuff is gonna see that too, and then they're gonna also be like, oh my God, good for Venezuela and shit. Now do something about the freaking Juarez cartel and the Sinaloa cartel. That's gonna be for later, Claudia Scheinbaum. Right now it's Venezuela, and so we've got that going on. So all the other southern hemispheric countries, Honduras, Panama, El Salvador, Nicaragua. Nicaragua's like the supplier for Venezuela and shit and routes. Now they're gonna be like, oh man, now what? Now what the hell are we gonna do? Nicaragua, you're next. I'm gonna cover you later on this afternoon. Because I've been talking too much about Venezuela, of course, my country, my homeland, and obviously it's happening right now. The whole thing with Southern Spear. But Nicaragua, you're in this mess too, brother. That's right. You thought you were gonna get away? Nah, Nicaragua, you're in it too, brother. Now, what does Latin America see? They see a hemisphere recalibrating. They see a U.S. force projection in the Caribbean. They see potential instability in Venezuela. And they see a diaspora that is watching closely. I am part of the diaspora, and I am watching closely, and I am covering it. I'm glad I'm covering it now, as opposed to later on, because you can't wait anymore, guys. This is happening real time, real life, right now. Operation Southern Spear, Venezuela, Trump, Venezuela, the whole thing going on right now with that whole situation going on right now. Goddamn, with that. All right. So Latin America sees the hemisphere recalibrating. U.S. force projection in the Caribbean. Potential stability in Venezuela. Diaspora watching closely. Right. If Venezuela stabilizes, will millions return home? I'll tell you what. If Venezuela stabilizes, guys, I'm going back to my, I don't know. I mean, I've been out here since I was 5 years old. I'm 33. I don't know anything about over there. But if it's stable, I mean, I'm a dual citizen and everything. So, I'll go back home. I'll invest. I'll buy property. I'll buy land. And I'll set up a little farm for families to go and, do horseback riding, make money, send it, and then reinvest it back into the American economy and Venezuela at the same time. I got a plan for all that. I wouldn't exactly go back and live in Venezuela. I'd just use Venezuela as as an added feature to my life, as an added bonus. I'll use it to invest and then work on American and Venezuelan economy and businessman stuff. Company owned. Investments. There's a lot of oil in Venezuela. I might just buy land out there. I don't know, 5 acres of land. And then buy my own little oil rig machine to suck out the oil off the ground and then sell it back to the United States myself. Who knows? There's a lot of potential. But yeah, I'll use it to my advantage. As far as the others, the Venezuelan people who've escaped, who've been exiled, only for like the last 5-10 years. Yeah, man, those people, they want to go back home. Venezuela's always going to be their home. They probably left when they were like 20, 30 years old. They're like 40, 50 years old now, The children are already out here grown and stuff, Those are the ones that want to go back home and, retire and, just go back to where they came from. They only came here to escape the regime, not to actually live a life. So, yeah, there's going to be a lot of diaspora that are going to go back to Venezuela. And there's going to be other diaspora that are just going to, they've already set up shop, where they're at. So, there's no point in them going back anywhere, unless they're going to invest, or, run business. So if Venezuela stabilizes, will millions return home? And what does that mean for migration pressure in the United States? And what does that mean for regional politics? Now, these are the questions that are shaping the next decade. That's right. These are the questions that are shaping the next decade. Right, now let's move into scenarios and intelligence modeling. Scenario 1, continued maritime strikes, highly likely, until the job gets done and Maduro gets taken care of. Scenario 2, a first strike inside Venezuelan territory, possible, but there's too much casualty that's going to happen. A lot of innocent lives that is going to, pass away if that ends up happening, because, you got to think about that stuff, right? Scenario 3, internal fractures inside the Venezuelan military as pressure increases. Cuba says, bro, you know what, Donald Trump? Hey, Donald Trump, man. Hey, listen, cabrón. We're gonna remove our security detail from Maduro, bro. You can have him, man. Look, we don't even want anything to do with this, bro, okay?
Chuque Maduro, we don't want anything to do with that cabron anyways. He owes me some aceite from like, from like last week. He owes me some oil and some gold. I think that guy's broke, man, okay? And my men are hungry, bro, okay? I haven't been able to feed those fuckers in like a month, man, okay? They're asking me for scraps, man. I don't have any more scraps. I ran out of the scraps. You're gonna have to do with Maduro whatever you want, Donald, okay? All right? I already talked to Fidel, all right? He's hiding in the bunker right now, 120,000 years old, huh? Hey, look, my palabras, Raul Castro, bro, you trust me, okay? You trust me, right, Donald? Listen, man. As a Castro, you can trust me, Donald. Okay. I talked to Fidelito, and he say, man, just pull my man out, man. Okay. Let Donald do whatever he wants with Maduro, man. Okay. Just let him have it, man. We're not gonna risk any more Cuban soldiers for his ass, man. Chavez is already gone. He's not seeing anything anyway, man. Just do it, man. Just do it. All right, that's what's happening. That's scenario 3. Scenario 4, back channel negotiations for a political exit or transition. Hey, hey, Donald, man, this is Madurito, man. How you doing, man? How you doing? Hey, listen, man. I'll let you do whatever you want with Venezuela and the soldiers, man. You can interrogate them, man. I'll give them to you, man. Whatever you want, man. But please, I have a esposa, man. I have a wife, and I have a child, man. I have a son. Madurito. You know him, right? Nicolasito. Yeah, you met him once, right, man? Virtual cam. Remember that time? A couple of years ago via Zoom, right? He came into the bedroom, Papa. And you were like, hey, who's that? Nicolasito, man. Please, man. All right? Please, man, do that for me, man, okay? I know I fucked up the pueblo. I know I fucked up the country. I know I sold out Venezuela. I know I set up a trap house in Venezuela for all the other narco trafficking networks, man. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Donald. I'm sorry. But please, man, I have a wife, man. I have a niño. I have a wife. I have children, man. Please send me somewhere safe, man. I don't know, Dubai. I hear it's beautiful this time of year. I don't know, man. Just something, man. Send me to Russia with Putin. I hear they have great fish out there, man. I don't know, man. Please, just do something. Please, Donald. Please, man. Please. Huh? That's scenario 4. So in intelligence, you just never predict, right? You only prepare for each pathway, right? Now, family, this is where we open into analysis, debates, statements, closing arguments, everything in between. Should the United States treat cartel-linked actors as terrorists? I say yes. What do you say? Should land strikes be on the table? Yes, they should, as long as it doesn't involve innocent life in the nearby, where they plan to do the strike. Does the pressure campaign accelerate Maduro's fall? Yes, because then Cuba's pulling out. Or does this destabilize the region further? It's already destabilized. How much more destabilization do you fucking need it to fucking then hit rock bottom? There is no more rock bottom. That's it. Venezuela's destabilized. Stabilize it back up. And what does the diaspora fit onto all of this? Well, I'll tell you what. Half will return and half will just will just stay and set up shop where they're already at, as they've always been. I'll be back later on, guys. Tonight, I'm going to go grab some breakfast over at Chick-fil-A. They've got some great Chick-fil-A chicken biscuits with cheese and egg. If you haven't tried that yet, you should. It's a real good one. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you comment, like, subscribe. That way you can get more of this. We're going to continue the live stream later on this afternoon. Once Congress finally comes out to brief. I think it's going to be Pete Hegseth, Dan Kane, from the Joint Chiefs as the U.S. SOUTHCOM post, and we've got Marco Rubio, Secretary of State. So yeah, guys, stay tuned. Tune in later on, and if you're just tuning in, make sure you watch this whole live from the start. It's funny, it's informative, it's educational, and I talk all about what's going on with Southern Operation Operation Southern Spear, with Maduro, the whole thing with Venezuela, and the whole thing with what's going on with that situation. All right, guys. So I'll be back later on this afternoon. Until next time, hasta luego. Like, comment, and subscribe. This is La Voz de Atlanta. Hasta luego. Let's see here. How the hell do I turn this dang thing off over here? It's always something, with this dang thing. We're StreamYard. There we go. StreamYard.